Get ready to dive deep into immersive real-life transformation, practical entrepreneurship, and complete coaching mastery. Your hosts, the founders of the Coaching Masters, Louis Raymond Taylor and Liam James Collins. From trauma, bereavement, addiction, debt, and feeling trapped and deeply unfulfilled, to international speakers, community leaders, seven-figure online entrepreneurs, and listed in the top 10 coaches in the world by Yahoo Finance. Sit tight. This is the Coaching Masters Podcast.
Hello. Welcome to another podcast episode of the Coaching Masters podcast. It is Diana here with another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 habits of highly effective coaching. Now, these are 5 habits that every coach should have within their practice. There are so many more, but I think that these are very crucial, especially when you are starting your journey as a coach. So, what is the first habit of a highly effective coach? Well, the first thing I believe that is so crucial for anybody that is a space holder, and that is active listening. Now, this is a habit that you have to build for yourself if you haven't built it. It's a skill, to be quite honest, but it's a habit as well after you've developed it as a skill to take on and to embrace every single time that you are in a session with a client. Your role as a coach, yes, it is to ask powerful questions, but at the end of the day, you cannot ask powerful questions if you're not actively listening to what your client is telling you. Through listening to what they have to say, you're able to mirror back to them what they're saying. You're able to reflect back onto them what they're telling you, what they're experiencing, for you to as well acknowledge those blind spots. And it gives you the opportunity to go outside of the scope of the questions that you already ask in order to ask even more powerful ones, in order to follow your own intuition, in order for you to ask more questions that are prevalent for what your client is going through. So active listening, and how do you develop that skill? Really, it's all about being present and in the moment when you are with your client. It's not about pretending that you're listening to them by constantly nodding your head, by constantly saying, yeah, okay. It's not about that. It's about you being fully present and taking in the information that they're giving you, taking everything that they're sharing with you and utilizing that into helping you for you to help them. Active listening is really a skill. And so something that you can do in order to help you be more of an active listener is to be really fully present when you are with your clients. And sometimes that can look like as well taking notes. Now, this is not that you're going to transcribe everything that they're saying and you're going to jot down everything and just kind of like trying to catch up with everything that they're trying to tell you. It's more about what are pieces of information that they're giving you that you can jot down to use in order for you to help them, that you know they're going to be very important to highlight when is your turn to talk. A really big thing when it comes for me when I practice active listening, and what I've learned is being in silence and just listening to what your client is telling you and giving them the opportunity to express, to share, to vent to you, right? And in that way, you're going to have a lot of information to utilize in order to go deeper with your client, to ask him to go even further, to elaborate, and to ask even more questions for them to change what is it that they're going through, and from really truly going from point A to point B. When it comes to active listening, and between regular listening to active listening, is that you'll actively be noticing things that are being said or they're not being said. This means that you'll really pick up as well with nonverbal signals, body language that your client is giving you, and can support or contradict or even add some meaning to what they're saying. And therefore, you can reflect that upon them, right? This is going to give you the best opportunity for you to reflect upon them, to paraphrase things that they're saying, to summarize things that they're saying, to ask questions for them, to clarify what is it they're going through, and really mirror back to them essentially what they're experiencing. And therefore, that's what really creates true everlasting change when you are working with a client and when you're in a session. So the first habit, it's kind of a skill, but after you develop that skill, you should develop it as a habit in order for you to continuously have it with every single session that you have. And that is going to indicate and going to give you effective coaching essentially. And you're going to be so good at that. Now, the second habit to develop, as well for yourself for effective coaching is to remember that your clients are whole and complete already. They're already resourceful, they're already adaptive, they're capable, and they're already enough, right? They are here with you and you're helping them on their journey in order to uncover those things that are holding them back, to pinpoint and highlight those blind spots as well that they cannot see within themselves, and encourage them to move forward and support them as they move forward with whatever challenge that they're going through in order to get to the other side. But remembering that your clients are whole and complete, and why you want to do this while you're coaching, it's because I think that for yourself, it's a piece of humbling yourself down. The changes that they're creating, they're facilitated by you, but they're not because of you. They're not your doing. At the end of the day, them as a client, they're showing up, they're taking responsibility to do the work for themselves, and they are the ones that, with your help, are facilitating their own change. They are creating that change for themselves. You are giving them some resources, but if they don't use them, they're resources that are not going to be utilized, and therefore it means that they're not really resourceful. So remembering that your client is there for you to support them, for you to guide them, for you to encourage them, challenge them is so important. And at the end of the day, your clients are already whole and complete. They have everything within themselves to do everything. They have their own healing capabilities. All you're doing is facilitating that, of being that holding hand, of supporting them through that. And so remembering that will help you humble yourself and also be more present in your coaching sessions. Because when you are coming from a place of like, oh yeah, I need to create a breakthrough because, if not, this is that. It's coming from a place of lack. It's coming from a place of maybe not feeling you good enough within your own coaching. And that's you trying to always create a breakthrough when your client maybe doesn't necessarily need it. And you trying to create something and think that you are the doer of that healing journey that your client is going through. When in reality, you are part of that journey as a guide, as a supporter, as someone that can hold that space for them. But at the end of the day, they are the ones taking responsibility for themselves. They're the ones that are doing the things or not doing the things. They are the ones that are showing up. They're the ones that either feel enough or not enough. They're already resourceful. They're not, right? And you're highlighting those things and shining them through in order for them to really get to that point where they can get out and they can, go from that point A to that point B. So remembering that your clients are whole and complete is so important. And it's a habit to take on every single time that you are, taking and every single coaching session that you have. It removes you from the pedestal that maybe you have put yourself in. It removes them from putting you into a pedestal, and it helps you, again, see them as this beautiful people, these beautiful persons that are in front of you, these beautiful humans that are doing the work and they're showing up, and therefore it gives you more gratitude. It gives you more opportunity to expand and to really, really, truly be there for them, rather than trying to feed that ego of like, oh, they're not going to be anything without me, or that you essentially need them for that validation of you feeling enough. Because if you are thinking that you are the healer for them, and because of you, they're creating all of these things, like, this is not to say that you're powerful and that you are facilitating that change, and that without you, they probably wouldn't be there as quicker as they probably would have without you. But it's just to put into perspective that, if you are with the mindset of I'm healing them, of I am the one that is creating that change for them, then you're feeding your own ego, because you're seeking for that external validation from them, of like feeding that maybe not feeling good enough because they are giving it to you by, oh my God, you've changed my life. Oh my God, this and that. And this is not to say not to accept and receive those compliments. They're beautiful. And yes, you have supported them through that. And there is some sense of responsibility and some sense of accomplishment when you have helped your client, for sure. I don't want to take that away, but just notice where it's coming from. If it's coming from like, yeah, I did that and it feels really good because this is making me believe more in myself. And also because I just know that they could do it. I knew that they could do it. And as just me being a facilitator, a catalyst, a guide, a supportive system for them, instead of like, yeah, you wouldn't have gotten there without me. Of course. I'm freaking awesome. I'm freaking amazing. And it's like feeding that, not that you're not amazing, I don't want to put that, but it's just humbling yourself down, because at the end of the day, your clients are whole and complete. They're resourceful, they're adaptive, they're capable, and they're enough. And they're the ones that are either holding responsibility for themselves or not. And they're actively doing things to change themselves or they're not. And that doesn't fall on you, whether they're doing it or not. Now, the third thing that is a great habit for a highly effective coaching is to challenge your clients as much as you empower them. Doing both of the things at the same time when you're coaching someone is so important. What challenge means when you are talking and you're sitting with the clients is you're highlighting the things and you're highlighting the discrepancies of the things that they're telling you. You're highlighting and pinpointing where their blind spots are. And you're doing it obviously from a place of love, from a place of understanding, but you are basically taking a no bullshit stand. Like, you want to be honest when you're challenging your clients. You want to reflect back on them, what they're telling you, without having to fear that, oh my God, what are they going to think if I say this? Because you're doing nobody a service if you're constantly thinking like, maybe I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't have done that. Or what if they get triggered? Or what if they get something, blah, blah, blah. It's challenge them enough for them to feel supported and for you to do your job as a coach, which is to pinpoint where they're stuck, to pinpoint why they are where they are, to highlight those blind spots, right? That's why they hired you. And you do no one a service. You actually do them a disservice by not highlighting and not challenging them and pointing out those discrepancies and those conflicts that they're saying. An example of that is very easy. Like when a client tells you, for example, let's say your client is wanting to get his health back and everything. And they're like, no, yeah, health is my number one value. I really encourage you. I go to the gym so much and this and this and that, but I really don't feel like sleep is a really good thing. And I still eat, my French fries. Like, this is like a very straightforward way of saying it, but this is an example of how you can find a discrepancy. Well, you say that you value health, that you value your physical well-being. You're going to the gym, but what's happening by you not taking that rest? Why are you not taking that rest? What's happening by you not eating the way that you want to eat, right? By eating healthier. That is you pinpointing that discrepancy, because if they value health, they will do everything in order to stay healthy, right? But if they're not doing it despite of that value, that is a discrepancy. And it is your job to highlight that and to challenge them as to what's going on there and what's stopping them from really being in integrity with that value. Through that, even though you want to challenge them and you want to help them get to wherever it is that they need to get or wherever it is that they want to get, right? Alongside challenging them, you want to empower them through everything that they do. Empower them and make them feel like they're enough, because they are. So you want to empower them into every decision that they make, empowering them to all the changes that they're making. As much as you're challenging them, challenge them with empowerment, challenge them with the fact that, these are the things that are coming up for you and they're okay. And also it's okay not to be all this perfect entity and whatnot, but you got this. Now you're aware of this and you got this and you can keep moving. And with this awareness now comes new possibilities and new opportunities for you to change and to grow and blah, 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 So challenging your clients and empowering them is so beneficial for highly effective coaching. Because when you take on this path of both challenging and empowering them, you are pinpointing, I guess, your clients' weaknesses or where they're stuck or those challenges. And at the same time, you're helping them push through those resistances, those challenges, those things that are holding them back, those weaknesses, with strengths, with the possibility that they have everything available to them, with the reassurance that they're supported and that they got this and that they truly have everything within themselves to make it work and to change and to grow and to develop and create the life of their dreams and really get to that higher state of being, creating their highest selves and being in that state. Now, the fourth habit of highly effective coaching is to practice unconditional regard at every single session that you have. Now, this kind of pinpoints back to the second point, which your clients are whole and complete, and to kind of like empower your clients. Practicing unconditional regard with your clients in sessions means that you actually see them as whole and complete. You take all of your biases, all of your stereotypes aside, all your belief systems aside, in order for you to be with your client. You accept them as they are. And you remove all judgment that you have towards people and towards them on that session, in that session. Practicing unconditional regard means that you really see them as being enough. You love them, you care for them, despite of you giving them some tough love every now and then, despite of you challenging them. You see all the possibilities, everything that they can be, everything that they are, and you want to highlight that as well. But alongside practicing that unconditional regard through actual giving them love and giving them that attention is being really really fully present and removing judgment and just taking in everything that they're saying without you having to say something about it or anything. It's just, this is their reality and you're there for them despite of what they're telling you. And this is very hard when you have a client that maybe has a value different than you or has a belief system that is very different from you. And so this is where practicing unconditional regard is the toughest, but the best way for you to really practice it. Because despite of them having a different belief system that you, believing something different, having a complete different value or unvaluing what you value, this is going to test you. And in that way, again, they're not here for you to kind of like praise them or anything like that, but you're there to respect them. And unconditional regard is something like that, is respecting them on their belief system, respecting them of what they believe, of their values, despite of completely negating yours and despite of them going against yours. And this is the most challenging way to practice unconditional regard, but it's a really good way of practicing, because if you have someone in front of you that literally believes the opposite of what you do and you're helping them, you're choosing to help through it, and you're removing all judgment aside, then you have created a space where everybody can be seen, heard, and understood without judgment. And at the end of the day, clients want help, and everybody, I think, wants to be seen, heard, and understood. They don't want to be judged. They want to be loved and feel loved and want to be helped despite of whatever they believe in. So practicing unconditional regard, I think, is one of the best and the most, one of the biggest, the most important habits that you can take for effective coaching. Because when you practice that and you are in a space where you don't judge your clients, where you accept them where they are, where you love them where they are, where you are so present that you're like, yes, I see all the strengths. I see everything that you are capable of doing, right? You're whole, you're complete. You have so much going for you, despite of what they can't see. When you give that to them, they kind of like take that in a very unconscious way. They do take that. And so practicing that is going to be one of the biggest habits for you to practice on inside of coaching sessions, because it's really going to set the tone with the way that you show up for others, with the way that you show up for clients. It's going to help you as well not be so restrictive with your own values and with your own belief systems. Everybody is unique, is different. We all share some essences together, but noticing what is triggering you from your client, noticing what is triggering you from that belief system and working through it is going to be the best thing. Like, this is not to say that if you judge your client, you're a bad person. You're not, it happens. We are all humans, are always judging each other, triggering each other, reacting about each other and whatnot, getting annoyed about each other. It's completely normal. Like, this is not to say that you have to shove it aside. It's like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. It's not about that. It's when it does happen, what are you doing about it? What are you doing for yourself? And how can you, after resolving it and finding out where is it coming from and why this is something that is bothering you, how can you then transmute that in order for you to show up in an understanding way for your clients, right? Because so many of these things, or maybe your clients' beliefs, your clients' values, maybe you don't see them in that coaching session right there and then, but it comes from a reason. It comes from somewhere. Maybe it's their culture. Maybe it's the environment that they grew up in. Maybe it's like the parents that they got raised in, the family that they were raised in. You never know where that's coming from. And apart from those beliefs and those values and things that make up who they are, or like the things that they think about other people or the things that they think about life, at the end of the day, they're still human. They still have a beating heart. They still have a mind, and they still want to better themselves. And so looking at them as with those strengths, as looking at them as who they truly are, this true essence, that they're beautiful souls and humans in this planet trying to do better, trying to, work on themselves. That is how you show unconditional regard, and that's how you practice it. And now, last but not least, a habit that is incredible for highly effective coaching is boundaries. Now, boundaries is so important as a coach, not only in coaching sessions, but also outside of sessions and your whole practice in general. The best way to set boundaries with your clients is if you can uphold boundaries with yourself as well. If you don't uphold boundaries within yourself or with yourself, it's going to be a lot harder to set boundaries with your clients. So things to think about and navigate through, kind of like, of what is a boundary for you. A boundary is something that is non-negotiable for you, or that affects your energy and your emotional and mental well-being. If it is affecting your emotional and spiritual and physical well-being, if that is affecting you, you are allowing that in. It's very easy to be a people pleaser. It's a lot harder to say no, to really radically stand your ground to what you believe in, to how to protect your energy. Now, this is not to believe in, it's like, I am going to input my belief systems and my values onto my clients. No. It's not about that. We kind of covered that before. And, I'm practicing unconditional regard. It's more of like, what are you allowing in that you know that is affecting you, that is draining you, and that doesn't allow you to be of good service to your clients. And so boundary setting is going to be very important. Again, what are your non-negotiables? What is something that you can't really accept from someone treating you like? And setting that tone for that with your sessions, inside of your sessions. If you said that the session is going to be an hour, it is going to be an hour. Now, there are moments, I guess, that it can happen that it's like maybe it runs for like 10 more minutes because maybe your client is in a heightened state and you have to support them. Like, this is not to be rigid or anything and like leave them like in a chaotic state when you're like, oh yeah, sorry, time's up, my boundary. It's more of like on a regular basis. If you're showing up and it's like you said, it's 1 hour, 16 minutes of a session, but every session you're doing 70 minutes or you're doing 80 minutes and it's every single session, you are releasing that boundary that you originally set with your clients. You are releasing your energy from a place that you don't want to have released because you set for yourself 60 minutes instead of 80. And if you're constantly doing that, it's not like your client is taking advantage of you. They're not doing it purposely, but you're allowing them to take advantage of you. You are kind of like giving them permission to take advantage of you. You're giving them permission to basically do whatever they want with you. And boundary setting, it is a tough thing to practice with. Saying no is tough in whatever way or context that is, but it is something that practicing it will definitely give you that highly effective coaching. Because when you establish strong, firm boundaries, not strict, but strong and firm, then your clients can see that and your clients can take that in and they can also learn from that because you'll be so embodied in that boundary that all they'll do is respect that. They respect you more, they respect your boundaries, and therefore they can respect themselves a lot better. And this is why it's so important. I believe I did another podcast episode where I touch upon a little bit more on boundaries and everything, but the importance of it. But I wanted to highlight it in here and as a habit of highly effective coaching, because it's really going to set the tone of what you allow in, what you don't, what you accept, what you don't, and how your clients treat you at the end of the day. And so setting up strong boundaries for yourself, how does that look like? What does that look like? And where are you faulting in yourself within your own boundaries? If you say that you're going to show up for yourself and do the work this day and you don't do it, that is you not honoring your own boundary. If you tell someone that, your family member or your friend or your partner that you didn't want to do this, for example, and you at the end ended up doing it for whatever reason because you're like, oh, can't be bothered, whatever. You are not honoring what is true for you, what you are accepting essentially. And then therefore you're accepting more people getting into your energy field, more people taking advantage of you. And it's not like they're doing it consciously, but they're doing it unconsciously because you're letting it. You're giving them permission, like I said. So those are the 5 habits of a highly effective coaching. I think that these are crucial for when it comes to coaching. I mean, there are so many intricacies and so many different things that you can apply that also will make you a highly effective coach. But I think these 5 things are really important to keep in mind when it comes to you coaching someone within your coaching sessions, because they really are going to create everlasting change in your clients' life. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode. I hope that you review this podcast. Please give us some love. Share this episode with anybody that needs it, another coach that really, really needs this. And leave us a review as well. I hope that I can see you or be in your ear. You can listen more next week. And sending you all so much love. Thank you again for listening. Bye-bye.
For a completely free 60-minute online training on how to create true freedom as an online coach and how to join an amazing global community, go to www.thecoachingmasters.com. Coach your way to freedom.